Jim, thanks very much for joining us. I wondered if you could just begin by giving us a little bit of a potted history into some of the causes that both yourself and Crown have supported over the last 6 decades and some of the charities that we've worked with.
First of all, I should say that part of the whole concept of charity and giving and being part of the community goes right back to the beginning of the company. And over the years, we have been able to support many projects, many in Hong Kong, many in the Far East, and now many around the world. And that's been a really rewarding thing for me and for all the other people who have taken part. We had many organizations that we've supported over the years. And just to name a few would be hospice, which is here is called the Society for the Promotion of Hospice Care. But it's the general principle of hospice, which is looking after people, especially when there's no longer a possibility that doctors can save them, but they have life left in them. So that's one of the big projects that's particularly close to my wife and I, because in fact, my parents died under hospice care, and it's always been very touching to me. We've also been very supportive of the Salvation Army. Salvation Army, where I served as a director here in Hong Kong for many years, and it's been very rewarding to use our logistical talent in mine and some of the other people in the company, because the Salvation Army has a big need to collect and distribute goods, particularly to their what they call their family stores. So it was great to be able to serve them in that way and give not only money, but give in kind to their needs to redistribute their product. Another one that's very important to me, and particularly currently, is something called the Asian Youth Orchestra, where Asian young people are brought in from all over the Asian countries, and they're musicians, and we make an orchestra there. And the reason that's significant is because so many of the countries are arguing with each other at the political level, but when we bring these young people together at the musical level, it becomes a very heartening thing, and something I think the future will benefit from. And this particular charity is important at this very moment because the man who founded it and ran it for 30 years died recently, and I serve as chairman of the board of the Asian Youth Orchestra. So it was important that we keep it going, that there be continuity. So I've been able to jump in and keep it going, and it's going to be going forward with just as it has in the past, and we're very happy about that. And part of that is raising funds as well. But I think for anyone that's new to the company that's listening to this, that they should know that part of the whole philosophy of Crown is to give back, and is to we want to be a company with a heart and not just be a company that makes money. And it's been very rewarding to see just how successful we've been in doing that.
Jim, in 2014, you were quoted as saying, "When good fortune does you a favour, you owe it to the world around you to repay that debt." It's a fantastic quote, and it gives us a really nice insight into your philosophy and the philosophy that you've instilled in Crown when it comes to caring and giving. But I wondered if you might be able to build on that a little bit more and tell us what's inspired that philosophy and how it's dictated your approach to this sort of work.
The way I got into the whole concept of charity goes all the way back to my youth, because my parents came from a simple family. They didn't have much money, and they made a life for my sister and I. But we noticed that in their life, they always were giving back in some way. If it wasn't money, they were giving in time to help other people. And I guess we grew up, and that kind of rubbed off on us as a way of life. You have to, if you've got a decent house and decent meals and clothes, you should help those people that shouldn't. So it was just second nature. When Crown began in the mid-60s, we didn't have much money. And matter of fact, we were scraping to make ends meet and pay our bills, but we were still able to support. In Japan, we were able to support an orphanage that my father had actually done before me when he lived in Japan. So this orphanage was young Japanese children who obviously lost their parents, and run by some very nice ladies. and we were able to host them at our house and, you know, have parties for them. And it didn't cost a lot of money, but we found that the children really appreciated what was happening. In fact, my whole family was involved, including my daughter Jenny and later my son. So that was sort of the beginning of it. And as the company grew and to some extent prospered, we realized, I certainly felt myself that, you know, we're really lucky. This is going well, and, you know, we should be able to reward the community that are not, the people who are not as fortunate as us. So again, it was just sort of second nature for me to want to do that. And it became second nature for the people around me. In those days, it was just Japan, and later in Hong Kong, and of course my family. And so I've always felt that, and I guess anyone listening might appreciate this, that, you know, when you give, you get a certain joy or pleasure to see other people being happy and to feel you've done something, you've contributed something. So that aspect has always stayed with me. And I've tried to, you know, have other people relate to it, because, you know, receiving a gift at Christmas is nice, but watching other people receive your gift is even nicer. And I think if you're in a position to help people who don't have you know, a very fortunate life or have certain particular problems, you know, and it's not just unfortunate people, it's other organizations that need support to keep going, you know, like the Asian Youth Orchestra I mentioned. So I think that's how it all began. And being able to instill that in all the people in Crown and making it part of our company belief has been one of the joys of my entire life.
You've talked a little bit about how your work and Crown's work with the Asian Youth Orchestra was able to transcend politics and bring young people in Asia together in spite of tensions across the region. That's probably something that people watching this around the world will be able to relate to today, especially when we look at how society has responded to the pandemic, to the war in Ukraine, and perhaps to some of the sort of natural disasters that we've seen recently as well. What more is there to be said, in your view, for the potential that giving back or volunteering or charitable work quite generally has to unite people?
I think through giving, there's a lot of chance to be able to join people together, and whether it be nations of people or people from different nations, or just in a local circle. One of the things I've noticed, and I didn't actually expect this, to be honest with you, was when in Crown we were able to give the green light to all the offices to go out and try to do something locally, that we saw through our Yammer pieces and whatever, that people were really having a good time doing it. And I think that, you know, if you look at it on a macro level, you say, yes, if you could do something that would help countries understand each other better through, you know, charitable or social work, that's great. But if you bring it down to a community level or even an individual level, you find that same feeling pervades, in that people for going after the same goal together, raising money, cleaning a beach, whatever it may be, they really get excited about it, and they find a bond between them that is not always there in life. And so I think that my own personal pleasure has been able to say to the company, you know, let's do it together. Let's do something, whether it be company wise throughout the whole world or locally, figure it out and do something. And it's been amazing to me to see these initiatives come from individuals in a company that say, let's go, you know, clean a park, or let's go on a hiking trip together and raise some money. All these kind of things have appeared just because we've encouraged it or given the green light to the companies to take some time to do that. So I feel that's been a wonderful addition to what we've been trying to do.
We've talked quite a bit, Jim, about the projects and the causes and the initiatives that you and Crown have supported over the course of the last 60 years or so. Are there now things that you support personally that sort of form the focus of your philanthropic work today?
the things that I've done personally, and I should say with my wife or other family members that have been different from the Crown activities. The biggest one, of course, is what we've been doing in Cambodia for a number of years and building schools, because we started that before there was any Crown office there. But the way it came about was actually I was at home doing some exercise on the treadmill, and I saw a TV piece while I was doing that about a group in, I think it was in U.S., that they'd raised some money. Some high school kids had raised some money to build something somewhere in Asia. And I said to my wife after that, I said, "What, we could do that." And so that became a personal thing for both of us. We were able to take, of course, it was company money, but it was some personal as well. And we were able to find someone that could arrange the building of these schools and libraries and everything. And we're still working with that person now. And I think that was very, very close to our heart. We went down there, we met the kids, we met the Maryknoll sisters that were in Cambodia that helped us with the project. A lot of things beyond that we do through the company. I mean, we get some, recognition for Crown at different levels by donating money or donating our time. So there are a number of things that we do. Just even the hospice thing, I'd say we don't really do it for company benefit. We do it for ourselves. And in the case of a hospice, there's two big events that we do. My wife, every year, Sally, organizes the Christmas Carol concert, which raises quite a lot of money. And for years, I've been doing the Hike for Hospice, which is another event where we get 500 people who pay money to go out and hike the hills of Hong Kong. And those are kind of more personal things than they are company things. Although we do get company staff to go out and hike with us and raise some money as well. But I guess because my life and the company are so intertwined, it's very hard to, completely separate anything, one from the other. But there are some that we're very touched by and look after personally.
As hopefully everyone watching this knows, caring is one of Crown's values. And Jim, I think as you've articulated through the course of this today, giving back is evidently a philosophy that's been really well instilled within the business as it's grown. With those two things in mind, what advice would you give to people who aren't entirely sure where to begin when it comes to working with charitable organisations or supporting causes that are close to their hearts?
This is an interesting subject about how to get into charities and how to promote it. I had just to digress from Crown for a minute. I do a lot of mentoring for university students, young university students here in my office and other places. And I remember having a session with them one time where when I made my presentation about the importance of charitable giving, one of them said, "But Mr. Thompson, I'm not a rich person. I don't have money." And my immediate answer was, "You don't have to have money. You have yourself, you have your health. You can volunteer to do a lot of things that mean a lot to a lot of people." So one of the bits of advice I would give to any Crown staff is to remember that, and to sometimes you can raise money by doing things you like. In the UK, we had a lady who worked for us who rowed across the Pacific, and she had never done that before. I'm sure that you can find that story written, but she raised a lot of money and we sponsored her to do that. So there are, and I don't know if she had fun, but I know she was very proud of it when they completed it successfully. Some people like Jamie in Vietnam, he loves biking and he goes on these long bike trips and raises money. The same with the Movember, people raise money by growing a mustache. All of those things are part of how you can do this. But I think if it's people coming into Crown, I want them to know as soon as they get in and through their indoctrination that we have created a company with a heart, and we want to have that to the greatest extent possible, felt by all the people in the company. Of course, we're here to make money. Of course, we're here to build the business. But the ability to think of yourself as someone who could support your community or support a particular organization with friends, whether they be in Crown or not, that will be a big reward for you during your time here at Crown, and I hope it will be a long time.